So I was cut off, so here's the second video. Okay, the next step here is I was interested in I call it the 3.5 year cycle. So this is a wavelet scale for the S&P monthly data, and you see, hey, this is nice cyclical behavior. Some distortions here. So I looked at the S&P 2-week data, and whoa, that looked even better. So I studied this for data going back to 120 years, and it was present all the way. However, there was some kind of a change around 1940, 1950. So I did an analysis, I think, from the data going from 1950 up to today, and I optimized. It was a complex, well, I shouldn't use the word complex, but it was complicated, and it was mostly manual, so to say. I was optimizing a fixed cycle that correlated well with this wavelet. And what I found was actually a whole number of weeks that had a nice fit there. So I dug deeper into this. Well, I started out with the 2-week data, so I changed to 1-week data, and still I liked what I saw. It was a nice result, nice correlation. So I went over to daily data, calendar days, of course. Always when working with cycles you had to use calendar days, and actually it looked really nice also in calendar days. I had different, call it markers or signals in different cycles that were reoccurring in other cycles, kind of confirming that maybe I was spot on even on the number of days in this cycle. But I can't be sure about that. But I think I have found my result is very close within a few days, perhaps, for a 3.5 year cycle. So I was doing this for the Norwegian market and the S&P, and as I was looking at the S&P, a pattern struck me. And every other 3.5 year cycle looked a bit different. I mean, the odd cycles looked different from the even numbered cycles. So actually what I was starting to see was a 7-year cycle. You can see it here. There is a 7-year low, there a 7-year low, there. Going back, we have a 7-year low here, and here, and here, and here, and here, and here. So that was interesting. And then I started to look at the numbers, and because I was not relating these two cycles to each other, you know, the 40-week cycle and the 3.5 year cycle. And also the number of 40-week cycles in a 3.5 year cycle was about 4.5. That didn't seem right. But when you compare or count the number of 40-week cycles in the 7-year cycles, you get 9. Actually, I didn't get exactly 9. I was a few days off, so I kind of assumed, or I just thought that, okay, there was quite a bit uncertainty in the 40-week cycle, so if I adjust my 40-week cycle to be exactly 1/9 of the 3.5 year cycle, then you kind of also have an explanation why you have a 7-year cycle, or why the two 3.5 year cycles are different, and because they have a different relation or configuration to the 40-week cycle. So that kind of, I think, improved my calculation of the length of the 40-week cycle. What does this look like? What's the result? So today I'm looking at the Norwegian data. I could do this as well for the S&P. Here in blue I have the detrended Norwegian market since 1983. In orange I have my 7-year cycle, and in gray here I have my 40-week cycle. And what you see in my 40-week cycle, it does show some sub-cycle behavior there, and that's a sign of the 20-week cycle. So the 40-week cycle may consist of two 20-week cycles. So what do we see here? In blue we have a low, a bit spaced away from the ideal low, well, maybe close enough. Here we have a low, here we have a low, a bit early. Here we have a low, a bit early, a low, there a low, there a low. See how the 1987 crash is at this very bearish phase of my 7-year cycle. So here we have a low, and here it starts to get a bit messy. So this is the 40-week low, but actually we had a large correction at the 20-week low, and we have some kind of a low up here, but kind of a very right translated cycle and then a very left translated cycle. Anyway, here we get back in sync. There a low, I will leave that one there. Here we have a low, a bit late. There a low, I can hardly see a low here. And where was I? Okay, here, this is one of the features you will find. Here you have a doubling of cycles, and this is one of the things that cause distortions in the wavelets. So you can say it's an inversion, but I call it a doubling. So we have two 40-week cycles merging to one. So here we are back in sync. We have a low. Here we have quite a deep 20-week low. Anyway, here we have a low, a bit late. There a low, a bit late. Spot on, spot on, spot on. A bit late, a bit early. Here we have a double low on both sides. That's another phenomenon. Here a bit early. That's the 2001 crash. So the price target was met early, and the low was early. That's kind of what I call a collapsing cycle. You can also say this is a double low where the cycle low was in the middle. Anyway, this is a low. Here another phenomenon that is reoccurring. You have this is the 40-week cycle, and then you go to a lower low with a 20-week cycle, and that causes some distortions. So actually the 40-week cycle seems shifted by 20 weeks. So this is the low, this is the next low, this is the next low, but here we get back in phase with the cycle. That's a low, here a double low. This is a bit, well, it's an early low, and there's the next low. You could argue this is a doubling of cycles. Anyway, kind of a double low. Spot on. Here a bit early. Let's see, that's a low. Here you have the doubling of cycles. Here you have a collapsing cycle where the last higher low is the actual cycle low. A bit late low, a deep 20-week cycle. Anyway, a bit late low, spot on, a bit early low. Here you have kind of a double low, but the second one lower. Here, low volatility, you can't see that much. You know, if you draw an average instead of a price, you see this perhaps even better. Here you have a low, there a low, a low, a low. Here you get messy again. The COVID low was not a 40-week low, it was a 20-week low. So here I'm kind of working with what's going on here. Is the cycle shifted or what? So that would normally look like a 40-week low. That's 40-week later. It looks like a low. So this also may look like a low, and perhaps this is a low. So right now I'm a bit inconclusive whether how this cycle is. Are we in? Because you know, if you look at these yellow ideal lows, you could argue have a low here, you have a low here. So are we now going into a 20-week low or a 40-week low? I'm not quite sure. Anyway, you see the 7-year cycle back here. We are in the crash phase, so anything can happen the coming